Well, it's not like I give that any credence either. Like, that's certainly.
So you don't want this if I just kind of left it
Well,
there?
I mean, I might take it there.
So I guess another way of saying it would be like two people have the same password to that same chunk of money on the public ledger, and then they both use that password to send that. Let's say we have an account with $1,000 in it, and we both send that same $1,000 to different people at the exact same time.
Yeah.
Both would probably appear like they went through early on, and then within 10 minutes or whatever, so there's a 10-minute window when the blockchain clears this stuff up. Is basically what we're saying, right? So within 10 minutes, those get synced out. So for smaller transactions like a cup of coffee, people don't really care as much, so they'll trust you because it's only $4. But if it's a car, then you're going to want to wait before you hand them the keys to the car. After they send you money, you're going to want to wait until a few iterations of that 10-minute time period have passed to make sure that the main ledger agrees that that guy gave me the money for my car.
So isn't there some kind of like a escrow service to protect you from those like double sale things?
So there's BitPay is a payment processor, so they kind of jump in and can accept Bitcoin on your behalf and give you whatever currency you want on the back end, be it Bitcoin or fiat currency. So they can jump in there and take some of that risk, and they typically, within a few seconds of the invoice being paid, will close out the transaction. And it's, for someone who's dealing online as a vendor, it's pretty much a no-brainer to accept because the fees are much less than accepting credit cards, and there's no risk of chargeback.
Yeah, I know a big problem with some retail stores is that they don't like to accept credit cards on small transactions because there's no point. The fee is more than what you're getting from the process or whatever. Is that a problem at all for really small amounts of Bitcoin that are purchased?
Typically, no. There's a formula that determines the cost of each Bitcoin transaction. You can actually add a tip if you want to try to incentivize the miners to pick it up more quickly, but it's usually just a couple cents for each transaction. That's pretty easy.
Let me talk about that in a little more detail because I'm not even fully aware of how that happens. So I know that I can submit a transaction to the ledger, and I know I have the ability to do it with no miner's fee, right? I can set the fee to 0 and it will still pick it up. It might just be delayed, right?
Yeah.
But I can't. There's a default fee, right?
Yeah, I think it depends on what app you're using. I think like most of the apps put in a small default fee of a few cents. Honestly, I don't know if you can do it with 0 cents. I think all transactions are some minuscule fee.
I have definitely done it with 0 before.
Okay.
Definitely. Yeah, like I bought like a coffee or something and I was like, let me try this, 0, and it worked.
What app was that on?
Blockchain.
Okay. I'd have to double check that, but it's...
it was like a manual process to go in and edit it.
Okay.
It wasn't just like the normal default quick purchase process. I had to like go in. Anyway.
It's because they don't want you to do it, probably.
Watch the internet prove me wrong now, but I'm almost definitely sure that that I've tried it with no fee.
I think that whenever you're the one who gave me my first Bitcoin, and I think that whenever we did that, we made it to where there was no tip or whatever to the miners.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you're assuming like a small amount. It's like, what's the point?
Mm-hmm.
So the fee that we're talking about is basically a small tip or incentive to help cover the costs of the miners that are spending all the money on the equipment and electricity and processing power to maintain this decentralized public ledger, right?
Yeah, and right now the fees are very minuscule in comparison to the 25 Bitcoins that are released in each block. But that gets halved every 4 years and will eventually be 0. And that's when the fees will become more important to the miners. So right
that's
now,
what I was going to ask next. Yeah. So if I, as a miner, every 15 minutes, you said there's
every 10 minutes.
Every 10 minutes,
roughly.
There's a new like single whole number 1 Bitcoin released, right?
No, there's a new block every 10 minutes. And right now the reward is 25 Bitcoins.
Oh, so if you're the winner of the block, you get 25 Bitcoins, which is still a crap load of money, right?
Oh, yeah.
400 times 25.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of, okay. But so that's currently the reason why most people mine. not the fees.
The fees are almost nothing compared to that.
Yeah, but I think the problem now is that since it's so competitive now, that people have done minor pools or whatever, so that 25 Bitcoin is split amongst several different miners.
Exactly, it's so competitive that it's very rare someone would have enough power themselves to actually go out and win that. So they have to.
In the beginning, it would be like one miner getting the whole block.
Yeah.
But now, not so much.
Because it's like a race, right? So you have 10 minutes to find the answer.
Yeah.
And is it the first person that finds the answer?
Yes.
In 10 minutes? Can you find it in less than 10 minutes?
Oh, yeah. So sometimes it's completely random. So you might get 3 people could find it within a second and they will all win a block. So there'll be a new block. It's just on average, it's 10 minutes.
Oh, so it's not like a regulated somehow 10 minutes. It's just as quick as most people get it, and it's around 10 minutes.
And so if after a week or so, there's too many blocks being found, that's when they adjust it. The difficulty adjusts itself to slow it down. Just
itself, or you said they adjust it?
It's programmed in there so that it automatically does it. So it was programmed from the start to think for itself. It's basic.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Uh-oh. Skynet.
Here we go. Elon Musk is rolling around. No, AI is true.
Okay, so and every so often the reward for completing a block for a miner halves?
Yeah, every 4 years. So it happens later in 2016. It'll go from 25 to 12.5.
Now, is the 4 years kind of an average, or is that the actual?
Yeah, that's also an average. It's based on the number of blocks.
Okay.
And since the blocks aren't perfectly 10 minutes.
Got it.
The 4 years also is a perfect year.
So when the reward drops to the point that it's not really an incentive, that's when the transaction fees will go up to make it worth it? That's the theory
behind it. So there's a lot of planning / guessing work that went in at the beginning of trying to model, because no one knew what will happen. No one knows what will happen to Bitcoin, but the theory behind it is that the use will grow so that the spots in each block will get more and more competitive and will drive up the cost to have your transaction included in the block. And that's the debate that's going on right now between Core and Classic. It's that some people are concerned.
Core and Classic, what does that mean?
So the original Bitcoin code is considered core, and then there's been this debate where people are afraid that Bitcoin can't scale because I believe each block can only contain 1 megabyte of transactions. So people are kind of scrambling to try to find a way to increase that capacity because they're afraid that the price will get high, and then if it's at capacity, there certainly won't be free transactions because a miner won't pick up a free one if everyone else is offering at least 20 cents or something. So once it's capacity, people are concerned that it'll be too hard to get a transaction included, and that kind of defeats the purpose of this open and free payment network.
So part of the work of calculating the next block is including people's transactions? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. So that miner, whoever finds the answer for that 10-minute period, can decide what can temporarily exclude blocks, and they just get pushed to the queue of the next one.
Oh, okay. So the math problem they're solving has nothing to do with what transactions they include. It's just like a separate thing that they're calculating. It's a separate
thing, and then somehow that solution is used. They encrypt that whole set of solutions, and that's where the blockchain comes in, because each block is related to the previous one mathematically. So only the person who found that solution can encapsulate it in this encryption, and then the next one is built on that. So then you can chain it together. That's why it's called the blockchain.
I just said this was going to be for entry level.
I'm not that technical. I kind of just know that.
Sorry, this channel is just not going to be for noobs. Sorry. That's awesome. Okay, so I definitely understand that better.
One question I had about the fee is: the fee distributed amongst all the miners, or does the fee directly go to the miner that won?
All to the miner that won.
Oh wow! Yeah. Really? So, wow. That's crazy.
And so what people do is there's what do they call them? Mining groups, mining pools, where the pooling authority, correct me again, tell me if I'm wrong, the pooling company or entity will divide up their work amongst a bunch of people that come to them asking for work, and then whoever went, and then they reward based on how much work each individual person did towards the solution if they win. Is that how that works?
Yes.
Okay.
And the issue there is, if you're your own miner, you actually control all the keys. When you join a pool, something to be aware of is that you're trusting them. So you're just their laborer. They take your labor, and then you have to trust them that they'll give you the Bitcoins or that they're honest.
Because
your fair share.
You're helping them win, right? You're trying to help them win. So when they win, they get the Bitcoins, and then you're trusting them to give you a piece.
Exactly.
Right? Okay, got it.
I got something for that.
So what's money? I know.
I've got something for that.
Nice.
So I'm kind of a gold bug, I guess, or like I look at things from that perspective. You know, like you were saying, well, gold really isn't backed by anything, right?
Right.
But you could say that, well, I mean, we were talking about this before the show. Worst case scenario, I can at least use gold to make gold teeth or like sell jewelry to Mr. T or something like that.
Teeth out of Bitcoin.
Right. So how would you? I mean, for me, it's kind of hard for me to wrap my mind around like ones and zeros. Like that almost sounds like video game currency or something like that. You know. Sure. So how would you try to convince a gold bug or something like?
Yeah,
like
that was an interesting thing because the place I first got into Bitcoin was on a Austrian economics site, and there's a ton of gold bugs.
Yeah, totally.
And what I saw in there is this battle between Bitcoin and gold. Like,
right.
Like you can't choose both; you have to choose one.
Right.
One
yeah.
has to conquer the other one.
Yeah, that's silly.
And that's not at all how I see it. But they're very different. They have some things that overlap and function. They're kind of you could use them both as a hedge to the current currency, just like you could any asset.
Right.
Gold has definitely proven its value over the test of time. So it has that over Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Bitcoin can go over borders. You can't. I think in Switzerland, there was some person who was arrested for trying to smuggle their own gold over the border in a minivan. That's not a problem with Bitcoin because you can just pop on the other side of the border and extract your Bitcoin.
Yeah, good point.
But for the intrinsic value thing, again, since gold's not backed by anything, I don't really buy into the. I mean, there's different definitions of intrinsic value, but somewhere somebody had to decide, hey, I'm missing a tooth here. I need gold or whatever it may be. So that's what initiated the value of gold.
Right.
And the same thing with Bitcoin. Someone first decided it was valuable and it started being traded. What initiated that could be up for debate on either of them. But for gold, I will say I think it's 6% of gold is its intrinsic value. So I mean, I don't think that's a good reason to trust in gold its full value because 94% of it is just a bubble. It's been a 5,000-year bubble then from that perspective.
Or just like that's the value that people had for it, like as a currency or as a medium of exchange, I guess.
You're talking the intrinsic value at the beginning of it, or?
Well, you were saying like 6% and 94%. So it seems like the 94%, like that's people wanting to use it to exchange it, not because I want gold for like my own purpose.
Right. So they originally had value because it could be used, I don't know, in jewelry or something. Yeah. Or some decorative purpose. But vast majority of the value is just like Bitcoin. It's because people want it.
Yeah.
I want to take a crack at that. So like this is an absurd device. For transferring value.
Totally.
So like if I want to buy
it has cocaine.
I want to buy your watch, right? Cocaine. Yeah. So like I mean this is like paper with green ink and a dead dude on it. And like this is monopoly money. Why does this have value?
Right.
So to answer your question, it feels like video game money. Like we already just intrinsically believe this works because our entire life, when we hand this to somebody, they give us things, you know? Yeah. And so I think
they give you 4 times more than they do for that other piece of paper with a different number.
The exact same mechanism, and they're somehow magically worth different values, right? So I think the first time you use your phone and you walk up to some place and you like buy a cup of coffee or you do something like I bought dinner. We'll talk about other ways to spend Bitcoin later, but I bought dinner at like a pub with Bitcoin, and the first time you do that, you realize, so this is the same as this. It's just people's faith in a medium of exchange, right? So that was my answer to your question.
Yeah. Well, it's not like I give that any credence either. Like, that's certainly.
So you don't want this if I just kind of left it
well,
there?
I mean, I might take it. Only because I know somebody else wants it. It's true. I could burn it.
All right. So I'll just leave this here and it'll probably be there.
You can take that and transfer it into Bitcoin.
Well, I mean, this is more paper. So.
Yeah, exactly.
That's worth more.
So I want to. So we talked about some of the differences between cash. Let's talk about the legal differences between using cash, using like bank accounts and credit cards, and using Bitcoin. So what are the advantages and disadvantages of each? Obviously, cash has no intrinsic ledger or record of a transaction. Mm-hmm. So in that way, if no one's watching you spend it, it's anonymous, right? Yeah. Credit cards, it's extremely watched and regulated and controlled. So, you can have your bank accounts frozen. Mm-hmm. You can you can never spend something without being watched by a company or government. Jump in here if I'm missing anything. Same for a bank account. It's basically the same thing as a credit card. You wire money. It's always going to be regulated, watched, and controlled, and could be frozen or blocked. Now, kind of give me the same analysis of Bitcoin.
Yeah, so Bitcoin is considered pseudo-anonymous, meaning every transaction is tracked, but it's not completely clear who initiated that transaction. There's been articles out recently saying that the FBI has pretty much started to pin down a majority of Bitcoins, because when you say you buy something online that's shipped to you, you can start drawing connection to your address to that specific coin. So if you put in enough effort, you could kind of start mapping out where certain coins are. So no one knows exactly, but compared to a credit card, it's going to take more work for someone to determine who owns what coin, but given enough energy, it could be done. Whereas cash, like you said, is if no one's in that room with you and you hand me that $20 bill, it's pretty much no one knows about that.
Just between us and them, right?
Yeah.
Except in here.
Plus, like you said, like bank accounts and credit cards and all that can be frozen. Yeah. But like if the FBI says freeze the blockchain, no one's gonna you're like, ha ha. Yeah, right. No one, you can't freeze the blockchain.
Well, let's talk about that. Like, if the government wanted to do something like that, if I had some Bitcoins and they wanted me to prevent spending it, or I attempted to spend Bitcoins and send them to somebody, what could they do to interfere?
I'm sure there could be ways of. There's been some denial of service type attacks on Bitcoin. They could spam the network. They would have to pretty much shut down the internet to stop a transaction from being broadcasted. Yeah.
All right, I love that.
Well, you just need one node to be working in order to actually get the blockchain to keep on.
Right. Yeah. So if there was a nuclear holocaust, as long as one guy in Antarctica had his node up, it could kind of propagate from there and grow again.
Right. So this is because it is so decentralized. Mm-hmm. There's security in that.
Yeah. Yeah. There could always be. I'm not a computer expert, but there could be some vulnerability in it that no one knows about yet. Right. It could be discovered tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure some new coin would overtake it, but that could be a threat to Bitcoin.
Right. So it kind of, I see some similarities between this and the dark web or Tor, where like the FBI is tracking kind of where something originates from and where something ends up. They don't really know what happens in the middle, but they start tracking like the times of things happening.
They're called timing attacks.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So they could start kind of putting pieces together, right, grabbing some data.
Yeah. So if a package arrives at your house, 2 weeks after maybe a transaction over Tor happened from an IP address linked with your internet search. So basically, the privacy implication that I wanted to get at is that to attack the privacy of the Bitcoin network, you pretty much have to be a government and have the resources to gather the disparate sources of information, right?
Yeah.
So I can't just be a person on the internet watching the blockchain and somehow de-anonymize that to your IP address. Like I would have to also associate that with your internet connection,
you have to know your internet connection,
your patterns of when you use your computer, your electric bill, your shipping logs through FedEx, or right, whatever. I would have to have all this information, this private information that only a government can get, and mix it all together in a way that pops out your identity to a Bitcoin. Is that accurate, or is there easier ways?
There's other ways. So I would say some of these entities that provide services as they get bigger and bigger, they have a decent share of the network, say a Coinbase. So a lot of transactions go through Coinbase where you have to have a pretty legitimate account. Depending on how much you want to buy, you might have to give them some personal information. But a place like that, say they take 10 or 20% of Bitcoin transactions, they start to know who owns what coins and they could build a very partial model of who owns what coins.
So let's talk about that. What do you call those, like blockchain and Coinbase? What do you call those?
So the blockchain and Coinbase are very different. Coinbase I would consider basically like a bank. So as we talked about the private key earlier, that's what controls the money in your account. When you have it on a hosted account like a Coinbase, they're like a bank in that they actually have the key. You just have a login, and they control the keys.
They hold your password, basically.
So there's advantages to that because you're not going to lose your key. Assuming you have your email address and can do a password recovery, you'll always be able to get your Bitcoins back if they stay in business.
So is the analogy you're depositing your gold in the bank?
Yeah.
And so they own they own control of your gold basically at that point, and you're trusting them to
right.
Okay.
And there's advantages and disadvantages. At the heart of Bitcoin is being your own bank. So from that perspective, it kind of defeats the purpose to deposit your Bitcoins with
So why
them.
would I want to use Coinbase then?
Like I said before, if you're new to it and you want to have a little bit of Bitcoins on there, there's more security in that. If you're not that sophisticated, it might be easy to just have a password in your email address, and then if you forget your password, you can have them resend it to your email address. That would be an advantage there. You mentioned there's the Shift card, which is a way to debit Bitcoins. So they have a card.
I'm going to show mine, but I'm going to try and cover up the numbers for obvious reasons. So this is a credit card linked to my Coinbase account.
Yes.
And when I spend money with this, it just debits my Bitcoin account that's currently held at the bank of Coinbase, right? Is that an accurate?
So that's an advantage of having your coins at Coinbase is that you can connect it to a debit card right now where you can spend them at any place that accepts Visa.
Yeah, so this is how I bought that dinner with Bitcoins, right? I'm so nervous about showing my numbers here. But yeah, no, that's how I bought my dinner. And like that was the first time I kind of realized, Bitcoins are just a different form of, currency, value trade. Yeah, sorry to interrupt. But so what's different about blockchain then?
So blockchain allows the user to have their own keys. So they have some, I don't know exactly how it works, but they do not control the keys. They do it in your browser somehow or in their app. So you have all the information that controls the keys, assuming that they're legit, which I think they are.
Back when I got into it, people were telling me they were like the most trustworthy kind of... But they're not a bank, right?
So they're not a bank. They don't control that. Right. They don't have a ledger of Bitcoins themselves like Coinbase does.
So now I think we need to define what a wallet is.
So a wallet is just a set of addresses in private keys. The address being the public key. So it's just a set of keys, and typically it connects to the internet and allows you to spend those.
Okay.
And it displays your Bitcoin basically in a nice graphic user interface.
So a wallet is an app or a website like blockchain that lets you control your passwords to your keys.
Yeah.
Right? Or passwords to your money in the ledger. Okay. I'm trying to keep the language sort of common
with the blockchain.
Okay. So how do I get some?
We mentioned Coinbase. That's an easy way that you can connect it to your bank account. You just enter in your bank account routing number, and voila. Right now, I think it takes 5 days because they want everything to clear. You could give me $20 and I can zip over $20 of Bitcoin to your phone.
Okay.
In a few minutes.
That's probably the easiest way.
That's the quickest way.
Hand you $20. That might be a cool thing to do. Let me give you $20.
There you go.
And at some point, we can do a transfer here. Let's see if I can record my screen. How about that?
Yeah.
There we go.
That's the easiest way to get them. There's a new thing called, there's a lot of vending machines or ATMs. I think there's 3 or 4 around Dallas.
All right, so I'm recording my screen, and I'm going to give my phone to him, and he can give me Bitcoins. So this is one of the ways in which you can obtain Bitcoins. One is through Coinbase. You go on their website. This is going to be all over the internet. There we go. And you go to Coinbase, you go to the website, you basically transfer money to your Coinbase bank account on the internet, and then they will give you the, I guess, equivalent amount in Bitcoins that you can then spend on the blockchain.
Yeah, Coinbase, I think, charges 1% fee when you buy Bitcoins or sell them. So here we go. I made up a temporary address. This is what an address looks like, this little QR code. And you can see the string of numbers. So that's the public key.
The string of numbers at the top is the public key?
I think it's technically a hash of the public key, but yes.
Okay.
So that's where you receive the coin. So
that's like my bank account routing information?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm going to go to my Bread Wallet. So I'm going to use Bread Wallet, which is just another alternative to blockchain.
And so in his app, basically, we're not recording his screen, but he just opens his app with his wallet.
I'm just going to scan this little...
He scans my QR code.
So now I've got that number in my phone, 13B. That's his public thing, and I'm just going to send him.
And now he types in how much he's going to send me.
I can choose whether to send a certain amount of Bitcoins or a certain amount of dollars. So I'm going to choose dollars. And I'm sending you 2 cents because that's all it's going to let me right now.
Oh, really? Okay.
And I just had to put my thumb on it.
I'm going to take this back then.
Yeah, I'll take that back for now. There it goes. It popped up. You have received a Bitcoin payment. Oh, that was a text message maybe?
Yeah.
So it already hit the network. We can go back to his Disenthrall account.
So Coinbase is one. Somebody can just give it to you. That's another way to get Bitcoin. What other cool ways can you get Bitcoin?
ATM machines. I mentioned there's 3 or 4 in Dallas.
Okay. We're in Dallas.
The Freeman Cafe in Deep Ellum has a new vending machine there.
So it's like a vending machine you go up in with a credit card or cash? Or
Cash.
Okay. And that's basically anonymous, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And there's another cool thing called Liberty X, which is just, they use some payment network. It's some, one of those payment terminals. Anyone who has a certain one of those can opt in, and there's 20 or 30 in Dallas where you can just go in there and you buy a PIN number, and that PIN number is immediately redeemable for a Bitcoin. So you just hand them $20, you get a little PIN number, enter it in your app, and you've got the coins right away.
Okay.
And that's fairly anonymous. I mean,
yeah, I wanted to talk about, like a big part of being anonymous on the blockchain. Sorry, or did you finish up here? Or?
Yeah, I was done.
So are we waiting for like the 10 minutes or is it done?
No, let me see. It should be on there. It texted you saying you had it. All right, so here's the transaction. You can see it 3 minutes ago, 2 cents. This is kind of cool. This can look up on the blockchain and show the actual transaction.
Okay.
It's got its first confirmation. So it's already got one confirmation.
What's a confirmation?
That means the one miner has found this transaction and written it into a block.
Okay.
10-minute period we were talking about. So, and those are, like I said, the duration of those is random. There could be another one 1 minute. It could be 30 minutes until the next one.